Adcock, Ingram, OTC, sponsors of Brave, the Gratitude Season. It's all about our pharmacy frontline heroes, and I stress the word heroes. They have proven that over the last year. They go the extra mile, not just for their customers, but for their community at large. Now, let's meet the poor judges behind the campaign with a very, very difficult job to do. TV personality and sponsors of Brave spokesman Nicole Austin, investigative journalist Derek Watts, TV personality Palesa Tembe, and of course our very own Zoe Brown, all on the judging panel. And we're also joined by Andrea Firth, editor of the Brand Studio. Every day I get to be inspired by this. This is the kind of content that we signed up for. Just so inspiring. Maybe, Nicole, I can start with you. Season 3, so this is quite a journey you've walked with us. How has this been different? What has your personal experience been like with this round?
So as a pharmacist, I have an immense amount of respect for this entire process. And when I heard about the very first season and was a judge, it was exciting to watch healthcare professionals being recognised instead of complained about, which was landmark. But then to move from that into season 2, where it was about the upcoming students in the industry across all disciplines, was really encouraging and inspiring. But this season has been, I've been more inspired. This has been one of the highlights of the entire year for me, is it being part of this process. But to watch this Adcock, Ingram, OTC, sponsors of Brave Gratitude Season, about pharmacies, pharmacists and pharmacist assistants. They're often the heart and the lifeblood of every single community around the country, and we don't realise it. They're the first ports of call. They're the unsung heroes, and it's time for them to get recognised.
You would have had to have examined this quite a lot in terms of how to define what Brave is, to be able to make the choices here, and very difficult to select because everyone that we've seen and profiled has just been amazing. How do you define Brave? What have you been looking for in your winners?
Graham, I think that it's such a broad concept, brave, but if you can really hone it down, it's existing outside of your comfort zone in a way that serves others at all costs, at the expense of everything, and you pour all your energy into something, you speak your truth, and you make other people's lives better. And we've been able to see the most remarkable, brave people who we might never have heard their stories if it weren't for this process.
And I love the fact that people like this, these selfless individuals, often don't need anyone to pat them on the back. They do it because it's a deeper calling. Derek, I'm going to turn to you now. Always so great to be connecting with you, my friend. So thanks so much for taking the time and for what you've put into this campaign. It's been highlighting, obviously, very brave pharmacists within our communities. I didn't realise how much of a backbone they actually are for our communities. Why was it so important for you to be involved, and what were you looking for as one of the judges with a very difficult job in picking the Judge's Choice winner?
Graham, I was looking to make an easy choice.
and that you didn't get.
But then we got 8 nominees. I promise you, we got 8 nominees. We went through all their videos, and it became a mission. I mean, we've got to decide on our top 3. And on my score sheet, I don't know about Nicole, but there was 1 point between the lot of them. And yeah, well, Nicole was saying it, being a professional pharmacist or running a pharmacy is a tough gig. It's demanding work. So I guess first you look at, are they doing their job? You know, are they earning respect from their colleagues and customers and running a good pharmacy? Then you look for involvement in the community, contributions outside the workplace. And that's when you just got to be prepared to be humbled. I mean, how people like all the nominees do so much that is not prescribed. Sorry, get it? Not prescribed. It's beyond belief. And it goes onto the scorecard. And, yeah, I mean, take Jackie, up and running a makeshift pharmacy from a tent the day after it was burnt down in that fire. I mean, that shows what it means to be brave.
I would imagine out of everyone sitting on this couch, maybe your sense of humanity might be slightly tainted with the subject matter that you have to deal with daily in your normal life. What has it been like seeing the flip side of that? What has been your personal take out of the Adcock, Ingram, OTC sponsors of Brave campaign and the nominees that you've been introduced to?
I think a decision I've come to is that sponsors of Brave is not for everyone. So let's not diminish the work done by pharmacists and healthcare workers. There are superstars out there doing stunning jobs, especially during the pandemic, no doubt. But these nominees and those from previous seasons of Sponsors of Brave, and a bit of a cliche, they don't go the extra mile. These people run a marathon. And how they make time to run an efficient pharmacy and get involved in so much community upliftment work, I mean, from children's homes and orphanages to sports development to keep the kids out of gangs, I just don't know how they do it. So my advice is, if you're feeling down, COVID, crime, and state capture's got to you, just go to the Sponsors of Brave homepage and you will be inspired. Your spirits will be lifted. So congratulations to Adcock, Ingram, OTC for making this campaign possible, and all the nominees. And as Jackie says, after the fire, bravery is getting up the next day and facing it head on, no matter the challenges you face.
Yeah, it's starting to sound like this has been your therapy, and what a therapeutic experience to go through. Inspirational. Paddy, what has your experience of this journey been like?
Graham, you have not even begun to scrape the surface as to what we went through as judges. I'm sure I speak for everyone, is that at the end of the day, I had to take emotional breaks from just reading every story, watching their videos. I was crying from a very healthy place. Just out of that, that attitude of gratitude goes so far beyond what we just preach on a daily basis. It's seeing these incredible healthcare professionals doing exactly that. Growing up, I always thought pharmacists were just people you told what's wrong with you and they get a little medicine and here we go.
Yeah.
But watching these people on a daily basis and what they do for their community is absolutely groundbreaking, so inspirational as well. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't a judge on season 1, but I was working very closely on Afternoon Express with it. Season 2, being able to judge that next generation of Brave, those underdogs, those people in the wings, waiting for their turn in the spotlight. But now, seeing people that are completely immersed fully in their communities, I'm telling you, and getting into it and making that change. Motivation. I even get goosebumps talking about it.
And rightly so. I'll get goosebumps hearing you talk about it. Now, Zoe, I'm going to turn to you. Knowing you, I know you would have embraced and loved this process, being introduced to these amazing human beings that we have through the journey that we've been on. What has that been like for you? I'm hoping it's restored your faith in humanity.
Graham, spot on. It really did. And listening to all of these different stories, hearing the first-hand perspective from the pharmacists themselves, how hard they work during this pandemic, it really, really just reignited me that there are so many good people in the world and they need to be favored. And I have to be honest, it was one of the most difficult things I've had to do. And it really, really got me emotional listening to each and every one's story.
And just the heroics, the daily heroics from people who don't expect anything in return. But you hit the nail on the head there. A very difficult process, I'm sure, to go through, to actually have to decide on your winners. So what were you looking for? How did you kind of find those amazing people within this amazing group as a judge? No pressure.
There was a lot of pressure and it wasn't easy. And for me, I just had to bring it back home. Growing up, especially when I was in high school, we didn't have medical aid. So if anything happened to any family member, we would first go to our local pharmacist. And they were the ones that looked after us because we didn't have the money to go and pay for a doctor's consultation. So that was what was really beautiful for me, was to see how community members still rely so much on their pharmacist, how this person is so important, and that he is able to look after them even though they can't always afford to go to the doctor. So that was something that stood out to me, that they make medicine accessible to people that don't always necessarily have the funds to go to a doctor.
Well done for doing a great job. Andrea, maybe I can close off with you. Is there a common thread here? Are you starting to see this all tied together? Because you've had probably the best kind of bird's eye window of all of this come together. What has been your take home through this process?
Sure. I mean, Sponsors of Brave as a whole is just these stories of incredible people. These people who just go above and beyond in their everyday life, who you know, this season is such a privilege. We've got guys who've been working in the community for 20, 30 years. We've got guys who've been running a feeding scheme, you know, for years on end. No one would know about them. They're not highlighted. They're not brought to the fore. They're doing it out of the goodness of the heart. They're raising community funds. They're raising their own funds, and they're doing it. You know, we spoke to an amazing pharmacist, Sonia, from Nelson Mandela Children's Hospital. And, you know, even just her story of understanding the creation of that hospital as a charity organization where it started ground up with those people coming in and saying, how can I serve? And that has been the message throughout Sponsor Brave. How can I serve? From the healthcare professionals of season 1 to the students up and coming, they are there to serve. They're there to take on that brave step of becoming healthcare professionals. And this season, you know, really was about giving communities an opportunity to recognize and celebrate their pharmacists in their community and have them understand what an impact they've made.
I think that's, and Polly can testify, the joy of our job is often people don't realize how unbelievably amazing they are, and they get to see themselves through your eyes just for that moment. And that has been created through this campaign. Communities have been able to connect with those that they rely on so much. And due to the traumatic efforts of the judges through this process, I really have to give you kudos for going through the process and embracing it in the way that you have. But from our side, it's just been so wonderful to be a part of that journey, and to introduce these people to the nation every day has been magical. So thank you so much. Look forward to the next season. It's incredible how people are willing to live for others, live in the service of others on a daily basis. Our journalists and public personalities speak for all of us with integrity. As judges, we want to thank them for being a part of this amazing campaign and doing exactly that once again. And we especially thank them for their continuous courage and hard work. Next, we are going to find out who the lucky winners of the Adcock Ingram OTC Sponsors of Brave the Gratitude season are. It's a big one.